Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our afternoon session where we are having a workshop called Beyond the Code, a non-gamers developers guide to gaming. So we're going to be talking everything about gaming this afternoon, and we have some fantastic speakers lined up to let you know more about gaming and the ins and outs of game development. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Susan Fulola, CEO and founder of Jubix Limited. And I want to give you a bit of a background about what we've been doing here. So we have just recently, redesigned our program. It was called the Global Tech Sprint Leadership Program previously, and it's now the Global Tech Sprint Leadership Recruitment Agency, where we talk about the future of work, innovation, and leadership. So the GTLRA leads with transparency and shared learning to provide the world with a diversified recruitment agency that advocates inclusive change across markets to share a financial equity across platforms. Our mission is to provide this service for internationally, both within and outside schools and universities to drive innovation, shared knowledge, and facilitate cross-border leadership, thus paving the way for a brighter, more interconnected future. Currently, within our management team, one of our management team members comes from Ghana and now is in Canada. And also another member from Ethiopia is actually in the USA. So it just shows you the strides that we're making as a global textbook leadership recruitment agency and building the leaders of tomorrow. So this is where I am going to hand you over to our guest speakers for this afternoon. And they are Luciana and Mark, but I will let them introduce themselves. Over to you, Luciana and Mark, for this afternoon's presentation.
Okay, so thank you so much, Susan, for giving us this platform to enable us to speak about this game development. A brief overview about myself. My name is Mark Fenikayes. I'm a software developer, full stack software developer from Nairobi, Kenya. And I have 2 years experience in software development, and my stacks are the Man stack, Min stack, and Ruby on Rails. I first joined Microverse, where I spent several months and I was working on real world projects. So after that, I got this life-changing opportunity to join Jobix as an intern, and I managed to find myself in the gaming team. So prior to this, I had no experience with game development, but I managed to meet some amazing people and got some encouragement from the management and the guys above us. And I'd say the past 5 months have been quite an amazing journey, whereby I've learned so much about game development. I actually consider myself a game developer right now because of we've worked on a game from scratch and watch it grow and grow and grow until it has become a full game. So I don't want to go so much about me. I'll hand it over to my uh, great teammate, Luciano.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Susan. My name is Luciano Boni. I'm from Argentina and currently I'm living in Portugal. I'm a game developer too, and I started this journey around 2 years ago in the gaming industry. And now Shurix gave me the opportunity to join to the team in an internship where I find a lot of very kind people, a nice place where I feel very comfortable. And it was very nice to enter in an environment where the people are professional, but they are kind at the same time. They are uh, they are very sorry. They are very kind. They are very nice, and they care about themselves. Uh, so that is for me. I hope to help you all and help you Shubix too.
Okay, so thank you, Luciano. With that, now I would like for us to jump straight into the workshop titled Beyond the Code, a non-game developer's guide to gaming. It's a comprehensive overview of the key elements that shape the gaming landscape. Your facilitators today are myself, Mark, and Luciano. So for the introduction, it's a comprehensive overview of the key elements that shape the gaming landscape. This presentation provides a 1 hour basic introduction workshop aimed at seasoned gamers and those curious about the intricate world of game development. It covers the evolution of gaming, game genres and mechanics, the power of storytelling in games, and the importance of user experience design in gaming. The presentation also recognizes gaming industry's diversity and innovation. So over to our first topic, I am going to speak about the evolution of gaming. So here I'll cover the history of gaming, where it stands now, and where it may go into the future. So this evolution of gaming paints a fascinating period in history, and many of us have actually been a part of this evolution. If you get three people and you line them here around, just ask them, take three random friends randomly and ask them what is the first game they ever played. Chances are so high that you are going to get three different answers. Somebody probably was on a Nintendo or certain game. Another one was maybe the Mario's. Different games, different answers, different people. So this gaming has become a large part of many of our lives, and there have been so many genres that fit so many interests among us. Some of us just want to relax. Some of us want the thrill, the anxiety with the game. Some of us want some action, and there's something for everyone in the current gaming platform. So the first game I'd say was created in April 1940 by one Edward Condon. The guy designed a computer that could play a game called NIM. And in this game, players tried to avoid picking up the final matchstick in the game. So thousands of people play this game, around 50,000 or slightly more. And this game was quite adored by many, even though it had a bias whereby 90% of the time it is the computer which actually won the games. Then after this, we had our first known baseball game, which was called, it was created in the IBM 1620, created by one John Bergeson in 1960. And then the most important milestone of gaming was the development of a game called Pong, which was a table tennis arcade game by Atari. So this like really paved the way for arcade games, and I believe most of us we've heard about arcades, where they made their way into the shopping malls, restaurants, any entertainment spot. You'll find these arcades, and people will line up to play these games. Then after this came now the multiplayer games, whereby more than one people can play the same game in the same environment. And there were three ways of actually playing these multiplayer games. The first way was through locally on the same computer. The way we, if some of us remember in our childhood, the way we'd sit down on a computer, someone used the letter keys, and the other person uses the arrow keys, and the screen is split into two. So you manage to play this multiplayer game on the same computer, competing with your friends. The second one was through the second way to play these multiplayer games is through the LAN, local area network, and this is for different computer systems, but they are connected together through this local area network. And then the third way is through the wide area network, which is through the internet. So, sorry. So the first instance of players competing on like separate screens was with a game called Empire. It was created by Plato, which in full, so it's these are initials PLATO. In full is programmed logic for automatic teaching operation. This was in 1973, and it allowed up to 8 players. So this was the first instance of multiplayer screens, multiplayer gaming on separate screens, not on the same screen. Then in 1974 came a game called Spazin. This was the first 3D multiplayer game. So you can imagine in 1974 when you're shifting from 2D games to 3D multiplayer games. I can only imagine at the time that it was quite fascinating. I wasn't around to confirm that, but yeah, I feel as though that would have been like a game changer in the industry. And this game was it allowed play for up to 32 players at a time. Sorry. Then another milestone that happened in gaming was the arrival of the PC, and this created a massive shift in the gaming industry. So the PC, for those of us who don't understand, PC is a personal computer, and these personal computers had far more powerful processors than the earlier generation of arcades and consoles. And they led to a new kind of gaming, which was a bit less linear but more complex, and people actually enjoyed playing these games. It also offered technology for people to develop games with basic. These are initials, and it's more like a programming language that enabled people to develop games. So, a fun fact about this basic is that Bill Gates actually developed his own game called Donkey, and the aim of using this basic, the aim of him creating this game was to open the like to pave way for other innovative people to come and enable themselves to create games as well. So advances in online gaming, they took place in the early 1990s, around 1993 there, when the release of the fourth gen 16-bit consoles were released. And this was really made possible by the coming of the internet. Yeah. So the internet became a member of the public domain, and this was in 1993, and online games took a shoot from there on. This really made the gaming industry to grow. The revenue was around hundreds of billions in dollars. So you can imagine how that growth has just like skyrocketed in a short amount of time with this advancement in this technology. So in 2001, Microsoft, that's when they launched the Xbox. I believe majority of us have either interacted with Xbox. Majority of us have interacted with Xbox. Majority of us know it. For those who haven't interacted with it, and it was a live online gaming platform, and eventually, uh, everyone became it's a must-have for everyone to have this Xbox platform. Then in 2004, we had the World of Warcraft. I don't know if you've heard of this game, but it was released in 2004, and this game peaked at 14 million monthly paying subscribers. I think this is the first time a game had this amount of players who are actually willing to pay to play the game. So one major shift that happened in gaming was when we were shifting to mobile gaming. Prior to this, you notice most of these games were played on technologies like a personal computer, arcades, consoles, these handheld devices like Game Boys, Nintendos. So shifting from this, we went to mobile gaming, and this was through Apple's iPhone. This is the one that like made a true transition of gaming to mobile platform through the App Store, and it was shortly after followed by Google Store for Android devices. And this is what really laid the way for anybody to be a game developer, to create games for like a whole mass market. You're not just creating for locally for you to play with your friends, but you can create it for mass market and place it somewhere in the store whereby everybody can access it. So in terms of game evolution, game evolution in terms of gender, originally, this game companies they placed their bets on young teenage boys because they thought that those are the ones who like get to play these games most of the time. So the marketing was quite male centric, and as the boys grew up, because they are not going to stay boys forever, so the marketing shifted now to towards the men as well as the boys. There was a time whereby the market became saturated, and for a while there, the like gaming industry took like a stump. But as it came back, the companies decided to switch their tactics because there can only be a lot of men here. So they decided to change their tactics and their marketing and try to reach out to uh, the wider population, to females, and they were pushing this idea of like anyone can play the game. Yeah, it's for everybody. So we saw a rise in female game players. We saw a rise of people who are like considered as minority getting into the gaming. So it was no longer just a children's game or like a male-centered game. So let's say in the current like field, it's still the people who play these games are still men are the predominant number, but it's a significant. It's almost coming towards a balance, and these modern gaming companies do realize that they have to find that perfect balance. They have to create games that reach out to everybody. I believe you all know of a game like Candy Crush, which can be played by about anybody who knows it. Even our grandmothers can play Candy Crush and have a good time playing it. So the future of gaming is where I am at now, and it seems strong. At the moment, it is quite strong. There's proliferation of these streaming services. There is social media games, smartphones. As you say, they shift to the smartphones where everybody can play anywhere, anytime. Even when you're taking the bus home, you can just pull out your phone, get onto some games and PUBG and have a good time. Currently in the world, there are over like 2.7 billion gamers who play these games online on a daily basis. So you see that is quite a huge number and a great development in gaming. So gaming has also become integrated with the modern popular culture, and it's part of our culture at this moment. I don't think there's, or rather, very few people at this moment can say that they wouldn't fancy a game just to pass time or just to have a good time. So in the future, as or rather as where we stand right now, we've noticed that these games are really advanced. They are heavy on machines, so you realize some games can't work on a normal 8 GB RAM laptop with probably 500 GB storage. So super gaming computers have been developed in order to handle the software, and this here is like a limit for the devices that can handle gaming. So, according to a recent article, yeah, by VentureBeat, so mobile gaming is also witnessing like its first slump. So you notice, like I said, mobile gaming is what is on the peak right now, but projected figures are showing that it's like receiving a slump, and revenue has slowed. So this is like leading to growth in technology, so that these gaming platforms, the mobile phones, the PCs, the consoles, can keep up with the current software of these heavy games, and it will lead us to experience better games in the future. So, just as I end, the future of gaming at the moment really lies on AR, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and augmented reality. So I'm really looking forward to see how our experience in gaming is going to look like in the year 2027. So let me hand over to Luciano so that he can take us to the next bit of this workshop. So Luciano.
Thanks, Mark. Well, I want to speak about the next part of this workshop. In this case, game genders and mechanics. Well, we have a lot of things, but overall, in this huge world of gaming, you can find a lot of different genders, like actions, RPG, adventure, puzzles, casual, cards, etc. You have a lot of different genders. The most general, right? But why we hear about the MMORPG games? It's not just an RPG, or why we hear about hyper casual games? What about the TC trading cards games? We heard about all of these genders, and it's like it's not just card games. It's not casual. Well, these are subgenders that have a core mechanics that aligns with one or more genders. For example, you have the trading card games that have a mix with casual games, strategy, and cards. In these games, you have a deck of cards, for example, but it's not a standard deck like most of the cards game where you share the deck with your opponents. Here, you need to make your own deck with the cards of your choice, what allows you to make different types of strategies. And you show up this deck to your teammates in casual match, to your opponents, or maybe in competitive match. But most of the time, you choose the casuals, right? Um, but well, this is one of the aspects of how the games evolves with the innovation of the industry, where the different teams mix his magic to give to the users his wonderful games and worlds, because it's not just a little world. Maybe it's a huge world, it's a small maze. You have different type of games where you need a map, you need a board. Uh, you have a depends of what is the topic of the game, which genre they have, or which mechanic they use. They want to focus on. They have different necessities. For maybe they need a map, they need a board, maybe they need not a huge map, maybe they need a small maze, they need a small map like a real life map, or maybe they want to make a huge world in an open world, so the users can explore and enjoy the different parts of the map. Maybe they want to make something in between of this, of a small map and a open world map, like Hearthstone with Genshin Impact, that is an open world, that is or GTA. It's like a huge world, but you have some limitations. But you have so many things to explore. The with history, with puzzles, maybe not the same type of puzzles like Tetris, but you have a different type of challenge to solve. Um, Moving on to the next topic, uh, the power of storytelling in the games. Well, this is a very powerful tool. You need to know how to use it because, of course, everyone can tell any history, but not all the histories is not all the histories are well done, well written, not all the games show up the history of behind the game in the right way. For example, uh, you have games like God of Warcraft or World of Warcraft, God of War, um, The Last of Us, or Minecraft that have an history behind all the game. For example, but they show up this history, these things of the game in different ways. For example, God of Warcraft have the cinematics. They show us all the most of the dialogues and the and the parts of the history, how the character interact with the other gods uh, during the cinematics. World of Warcraft do the same, show us, give us dialogues with a lot of characters, but why you do different missions. You speak with the character, they give you a mission, they tell you why the mission is there, and later you complete that mission and move to the second mission, the third one, and so far. That way you learn about the main history of that game, or not just the main history. Maybe you know you you find the secondary ones, the secondary histories that is hidden on the game in the another missions, or maybe in a hidden hints of the games. For example, you have Minecraft, that is a good game, open world, and when you play the first times, a good amount of time, you never think that this game have an history. But when you explore the game, when you start seeing a few patterns on the game, you found that the game has a lot of hidden hints uh, in all the map, and all the map, all the items, well, most of the items, the characters, the enemies, the structures, and these hints give us a few clues of how the history behind the game is it works, no? Because in the case of Minecraft, still we still don't know what is the main history. But in other games, yes, we know because they want to give us clues, but we really understand what they want to show us. You have other type of games too that show us a lot of history, like The Last of Us. That is in that game they show us the behind the game in a different way, not too different. It's most a mix between what God of Warcraft God of War, I said, God of War do, and for example, uh, this game, sorry, World of Warcraft. It's a little mix because the characters speak with the enemies during the fights, during the small events, and maybe you are not in the big, huge cinematic, but these characters have dialogues with the other enemies, with themselves, with his teammates, and you start learning about the history behind the game. And in other parts of the game, of course, you have a few cinematics that makes it a little transition during the game, or maybe give you a little rest of all the gameplay part as well. That is a function of these different things of the how to tell and history in the game. Um, well, this gives me a good opportunity to change the topic and move to the next slide. So moving forward, thank you, Mark. Here starts one of the huge topics of the gaming industry, and is the importance of the and relevance of the user experience design, the UX design. You know, the way that you play the games, the way that you understand the game, the way that you learn about the history of the game, all of this is how the UX design show you these different parts of the game. For example, when you play a game, for example, in a 3D environment, you already know that to move, you need to use the arrows, or most common, the A, S, D, and W. And to move around, look around, you need to use the mouse, you know. You already know that because it's a common pattern in the gaming industry, and the UX designer needs to know about this. The same way that, for example, to jump, use the spacebar, or to pause a game, use the P or the escape button. It's very common practices, but it's not just that. That can do it a game developer, a game designer, most of the people in the game knows how to show up these uh, small features, because it's very common. You play a game, and it's always the same. These small parts is always the same, because it's an easy way for the players to understand how to play the game and learn how to play the game. But you have other ways, sorry, other stuff that the UX designer needs to know, and is how the player understand a game, how the player plays different type of games, and how the public and the player can be can feel comfortable with the environment of the game, for example. Uh, in God of Warcraft, when you are playing the game, you feel the rage of the character, because you hear all the screams of Kratos, all the fury, all the you heard and you see how the character feels in each moment of the game, and how he combat, not in an elegant way like other characters in other games. It's like more like a beast. Kratos is a little beast in his combats, right? Cruelest, but well, that is what the UX designers want to show you. The vengeance, the feeling of the vengeance of the character of Kratos, and the fury, the rage. The same way that, for example, you have this. Sorry, The Last of Us. You have this game that show you, for example, the need for the of the people to survive the apocalypse, the zombie invasion, to say it in some way, infected invasion. And not only that, you also feels the sadness of the characters during the game, when they feel alone, when someone dies, when they see how all the cities are greener in ruins by this apocalypse. I don't know how in World of Warcraft they want to you to explore the game and find out all the history behind I don't know, the characters, behind the missions, and they want you to know how wonderful is the game in different ways. When you make a game, you need to trust most of the time. If you are in a huge team, maybe it's easier to focus in different type of in different parts of the game. But when most of the time when you develop a game, you need to trust one mechanic, and make it the better you can. For example, I remember Metal Gear. Metal Gear is a game that use the mechanics of the making the to hide from the NPCs all the time and try to pass the game without being too aggressive. That is something that the team chose to focus on very hard. But the UX designer said, okay, we need to do this. Okay, how we do it? Este, how to do this? So they try to do it. They think how the user can use this type of different mechanics to pass the game and win the battle, win the game. So this is most of the things that the UX designer needs to know. The different patterns, how to make a clear navigation for the user, the controls. Well, you, Mark, you understand a little bit about this. You need the UX designers focus on how the players understand the game and how is the best way to develop a game for the player. Because without the players, the game doesn't work. So moving on, the last part of the not of the workshop, the last part of the this uh, little speech, the conclusion that we will speak with Mark together, showing all the parts of this speech that we tell you.
Yeah, yeah. So I think based on the workshop and what you've presented, I believe we have provided like a proper overview of these non-game developers way in order for them to get into gaming. So, like I said, I don't have. I prior to these 5 months, I didn't have any experience in game development, and I believe this workshop has enabled you or like has given you the belief that anybody can get into game development, and the journey is quite fine. It's quite nice. There's so much to this field, and yeah, basically that's it. Anybody can get into this field. It's a very fun field. You will learn a lot of things, a lot of stuff, uh, and the best part of it is that you get the satisfaction of getting to like play your own game. So just imagine the way for us normal developer or rather web developers, we used to like you create like a web application, use your application. So now imagine you create a game and you get to entertain yourself with that game. So it's quite interesting. Luciano, do you have anything you can add on to that?
Um, yes, in this case, for example, all the things that we speak about during this lead speech, it's about how the game knowledge in the games evolve every day, every year, how far the games can go. If you see something, I not if you notice something, the games start with just a few things like a few bytes, a few coders, and just that. Nothing too is important, of course, but they don't think too much about all the things that can be a game, can evolve a game. Now, for example, the games have a lot of different branches. The art team can be 2D, 3D. The UI team, UX, code, design, the QA, the community managers, the marketing, very important because a game, of course, you can make a game alone, just knowing art, for example, you found a few tools in the internet and you don't need to code. You just need to know how to make a 3D character or a 2D character. But something that is very, very important in any game, I feel at least that is very important, is two roles, important roles. The UX designer, of course, because he knows how to make you feel what you need to feel during the game, in the combat, in the dialogues, in the history. When you start the game and you hear all the sounds and the music of the games, when you press the buttons, when you finish the game and see the credits, each part of the game is important for the UX designer. And the other part I feel like is very, very important is the marketing because we, the game developers, we always want that the game, all the people enjoys our games. The games can be huge, small. We want to show up to the world, but without the marketing part on the or the UX part, the game can fail, and not because it's a bad game. Maybe it's a very good game, but if no one knows about the game, it's impossible to enjoy that part of the they realize how wonderful can be the game because you don't have the players. So if you need to focus in, if you want to make a game, you never you never forget these two things: the UX of the player and the marketing. Because if you want to deliver the game to one community, you need the marketing part. So make your own community, um, your own slides, your own things. Maybe it can be free, can be a totally free game. You don't need to monetize the game. But if you want the people to play the game, you need to make some type of publicity and marketing for the game. And the UX part is, of course, because if the the player needs to enjoy the game, so the UX part is a little important.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Luciano. So once again, we were your facilitators for this workshop, and I believe we have come to the end of our presentation. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and yeah, back to you, Susan.
Wow, that was so amazing, guys. Well done. Even we have Mark who's not feeling so well, but he's done an amazing job. So well done, Luciano and Mark. It was really insightful, actually. I learned a lot more about gaming and the different aspects, especially the history around gaming. And I'm sure our audience also enjoyed that. If we have any questions from our audience, please feel free to put them in the chat. So I feel like we have one question from a Mel here, and she's asking, "What are your preferred games, like old games that you prefer, uh, Mark and Luciano?"
Okay, I'd say the game that brings good memories for me is the Grand Theft Auto Vice City. So for me,
Oh,
that is, I really love that game. I mean, I really loved that game, yeah. And I actually would, if given like the opportunity to play it again today, I wouldn't think twice. I'll just take it. So that's for me. How about you, Luciano?
oh, in my case, I don't know because I have three games in mind.
Oh,
Uh,
nice.
I like to play games. But one very old game that is not longer available, and now with a few friends, we want to bring it to life again, is Social Empires. It's, it's an old strategy game, RTS game from Facebook. It was wonderful. We play with your friends. You make your own empire. You have your units. I don't know. I really like it. Later you have Minecraft. very common. I don't need to say why that game is awesome. The other game is Smite, most because it's a game of my child. I love that game, of course. I play the game these days, but I feel like it's most because I grew up with that game. As it's wonderful. They have a lot of different features that is wonderful. Now that I'm a game developer, I understand how they make the game, and is is still better. No, still better. Now. Well, it's better. It's a lot better to know how the make works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I'm probably a bit more older than yourselves. So I remember there being a lot of board games, like Ludo and Snakes and Ladders.
Classics.
These were the kind of games that I grew up with. And on a board perspective, obviously, I know we've moved digitally now. I'm sure that you can have Snakes and Ladders, digitally now. Also, Connect Four. So I don't know who's out there that's in my age bracket, but yeah, Connect Four was another popular game that we used to play. And when it comes to a digital perspective, for me, I used to like Fruit Ninja. Fruit Ninja, where you just swipe.
Oh,
That was a quite fun game. And then obviously I am from the Mario era.
Just imagine.
Yeah, so I actually loved, catching that mushroom and becoming really big. And I feel like some of the Mario, the Game Boy, also gave me the vision behind our current game, Momo Code. So, in terms of, you know, um, Mario also having his friend, is it Luigi? All of those aspects bring back fond memories of gaming for me. And then obviously more of frequently, like you said, I think Mark mentioned it earlier, Candy Crush. I don't think there's no
Yeah.
one on earth that hasn't played Candy Crush. And what was actually really insightful, and this is an exclusive for the rest of the people here in our audience, but the Rubik's Cube, the Rubik's Cube, is actually one of the
yeah,
number one toys,
Yeah.
game toys in the world still.
yeah.
So, if you think of the Rubik's concept, just to let you guys know in the audience, is that Rubik's is actually two names in one. So if you imagine the jukebox and the Rubik's cube, so they work in tandem with what our concept is all about. So with the jukebox, you put a coin in, you get an anonymous selection of records, but with Rubik's, you get an anonymous selection of stakeholders. And then obviously, like a Rubik's cube, you've got all those different colors. So those colors are actually representation of people around the world and their skills that they have signed up to. So it's actually quite good that we're talking about gaming, because we are trying to make sure that we create a gamified experience when you come inside Jubix, and you're able to have the interactive parts, have the traditional parts, but then also have that kind of hybrid system where you never feel bored. Yeah, I see a lot of people are commenting now. Mario is the best, Amel said. Kuzim said he loves you. I'm sure you do, Kuzim, being a coder, problem solver. I'm sure you do. And Kuzim said it's very challenging, the Rubik's cube. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's actually I don't. It's interesting. I don't know if you've seen these kids on YouTube who like do it with their eyes closed, or they hide the cube and they're like in seconds.
exactly.
In seconds.
They do it in seconds. It's like really competitive, isn't it? The way they just
Yeah, true.
is that I think it's like scientific as
Yeah,
well.
true.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
So and the fact that they can do it behind their back, I wonder how they do that, because I'm sure you want to see how the colors
Well,
being
exactly.
it's interesting that you think about that because they do it with a type of algorithm, the same way that we make a lot of we solve a lot of problems while we code the game. They do it with the Rubik. It's interesting.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
That's
Well,
very
that
good.
takes us nice into our afternoon session of questions. So I'm just going to go to our questions and ask, our fantastic speakers here. So I'll speak. Our questions for today are. One second. Let me just pull up the questions. Make sure it's the right ones. So let's talk about what are the opportunities for using gaming to promote social good, education, and cultural understanding. And that's to any of you guys.
Okay,
Okay.
you want to take that one?
I'm trying to. I heard it bad the question. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't worry. No worries. Let me say the
I'm living in
question again.
yeah.
And then obviously both of you are able to answer the question, by the way, and also our audience. If you have an answer to that question, please feel free. So, what are the opportunities for using gaming to promote social good, education, and cultural understanding? So, how can we use gaming to actually promote, social good, education, and cultural understanding?
Um, I suppose that most of this is if you use the games in an ethical way, because you can make a lot of games with good meanings, but the people always have the a way. Can be the haters, can be the people that likes to see the things in different points of view, but you always have someone that can see, for example, the green like a red color, you know. So maybe when you want to make a game, you need to focus in something that allows you to show up that part of the game. For example, if you want to educate someone, make a quiz type of game, and try to do it and engage the players. For example, with prizes, with the how is the particle systems that when you take the right answer, show up a lot of stars or something that the players feels that they do it well. So if you use that things in an ethical way, it's easier to transmit the correct message with the game, I suppose.
Thank you for that answer, Luciano. Sorry for
Yeah,
that sneeze there, Mark. We
sorry.
talked about this before when we were having our practice session,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we can't help these things. It's the middle of winter, so go ahead, Mark.
yeah, true. Yeah, so maybe on to add to what Luciano said, maybe I can say maybe we can promote the creation of educational games. It's a good thing that you've mentioned the Rubik's Cube. Having I'm thinking of it in the terms of an online game that you create, like it's a software. So a game like the Rubik's Cube promotes critical thinking, and yeah, it just teaches our brains to think in a certain way. So I think having these educational games, they offer entertainment, but they are also educational. Something also like these word puzzle games. They're quite helpful to children who are like growing up or trying to learn words and do such stuff. So this is another way that it can promote these ethical values.
Amazing, amazing. I just want to add to that, just based on the question itself, we also have a game, obviously, with our trio of apps, and our game, is a puzzle solving game. You have like these Momo coders from all around the globe. I know currently we have it as a male character, but as we go forward in scale, we will have much more characters for people to be able to have a character that looks like them. So that goes back to the customization of things, right? So customization has become a massive thing in gaming. We've seen that people pay lots of money just to have leopard skin at the back of their game or
Yeah.
whatever it may be. So customization is definitely a massive thing. And then also the fact that interacting, So interacting with other people, right? So the puzzle game we have actually helps other people to interact with other people. And when you get to a certain level, teams will be actually playing against other teams. But you remember how those teams were formed was because they were matched based on their skill, their score, sorry, of the game. So, when you get a high score, like let's say Mark gets a 90% or whatever, he now matches with Luciana that has another 90%, and they just get connected and actually start speaking and collaborating together. So that's another way we match users within our marketplace to make them better, stay better connected. So they can play a game, or they can go into the Jubix main app and see what other opportunities lie ahead for them. So yeah, let's go to our next question. Our next question is: how can game developers address issues of? Oh, I feel like that's similar to the question we just asked. It was just how game developers can address issues of representation, diversity, and inclusion in their games and marketing strategies. And I think you touched on it earlier, Luciana, about, or was it Mark, about initially when gaming came to market, a lot of people felt it was on a one gender perspective, but now seeing that gaming is becoming much more inclusive and a lot more women are actually playing in the game. So my next question is, what are the key challenges and opportunities for the future of gaming? Like, what are the key challenges or opportunities that you guys feel are in the gaming industry?
Okay. Luciana, do you want to go first or should I go first?
Um, like you wish. I
I love this. I love that. You guys, you want to go first? I'll go first. Okay. Mark, if you want to go
Okay.
first, and then
Okay.
Lucia can pipe in. Sure.
All right. So I'll go faster. So there are a couple of challenges that are faced in this gaming. Should I say this gaming challenges just in gaming generally. So first of all, we have this great challenge of gaming addiction. So yeah, I know most people have fun and play these games, but too much of something is always quite dangerous. So some people they are like they get addicted to this game. So you find someone sitting looking eyes deep into the screen for 7 hours straight, just playing this game. See, this is not quite healthy for the eyes, for the brain, and just for the overall productivity of this person. So people need to like strike a balance between engagement and healthy, like find this perfect balance of healthy playtime. The other challenge faced in gaming is the violence in games. So like I said, I remember there was a question that asked what was my favorite game, and this was the Grand Theft Auto. So you find, yes, it's quite an entertaining game, and it's restricted actually to uh, a certain age group. But in most of games that you can find online nowadays, they tend to show violent behaviors, which when picked up by kids, these kids tend to project these behaviors to uh, their fellow probably colleagues in school or just as they are playing at home. So these restrictions really have to be put in place, whether it's age restrictions, whether it's the amount of violence that can be allowed into a game. They need to be placed there we need to have these restrictions in place because this is quite a huge challenge. And then lastly, another challenge I'd add is this monetization practices. So there are a lot of these microtransactions and loot boxes that raise concerns about fairness, potential exploitation, yeah, and the impact of player spending habits. So those are the three challenges I'd put forward. So probably, Luciano, if you can take over.
in my case, I saw the challenges quite different because I think just in the part of the gaming, in the gaming development, like for example, for me, the next challenges can be for example, what the anime right now proposed a few years ago with Sword Art Online, a type of game where you can put your mind in and take out your body. You are resting in a bed, and just you are just in the game, inside the game, and you play like you suffer, you have adventures, like you are the real character. That is the type of challenges that the social the society, the shows, the innovation of the creativity and imagination put us on our shoulders. For example, right now we have the AR, the VR technologies, and we still need to improve in that files. But we still don't touch the files, for example, that this TV show us, because we need better technology to reach these horizons, for example. For me, that is the type of challenges that we have like developers, because thinking, for example, in the case of multiplayer games, that is most of them are a little aggressive. Yes, it is. Maybe we need to make more games that is more pacific, more cooperative. I feel like the making a game like Grand Theft Auto or other multiplayer games that is aggressive is really bad. I feel like the game is a tool in some way. It's a tool for fun, and like all the tools, most of the tools are perfect in some way because they have a goal, and they have the capacity to reach that goal. In the case of the games, if the players enjoy the game and play with his friends or against his friends, the game reached that goal. We, like the developers, don't have the I don't know how to say in English, sorry, but we are not the ones that need to put restrictions to that. Maybe it's the society in itself, because they need to understand that all the tools need to be used like for the goal that they be created. For example, you have the knife. The knife is a kitchen tool to cook and cut the things that you need to cut. Just that. But later you a murder came and killed someone. It's kind of it's out of the topic. Is they don't use the tool like they need to use it. The game is the same. They need to use it like something fun for the play, pass the time, enjoy, relax, and just that. What if they have consequences? I don't think that is for the game itself. It's more because they need to the society need to understand how to play games in a safety way or in a healthy way. Maybe that is a
Absolutely.
challenge here, but not for us, maybe for society. Don't
Absolutely. I definitely think the emphasis is more on society in terms of, making sure, the right games are put out there. I know, I think you mentioned it earlier, Mark, that you like to Grand Theft Auto. There's a lot of, I feel like a lot of gamers, like, they love, the more aggressive games, I don't know what that is, but yeah, I feel like, I guess the world, prefers
understand.
things to do with like negativity or whatever it may be. But for me, yeah, it's more about creating a game that is fun, challenging, interactive, as as well as competitive, because we still need that competitiveness, right? Everyone wants to compete, so as long as the game has those elements, I feel like any game should be able to be suitable for most ages. But yeah, thank you so much, Luciano and Mark. That actually wraps up our afternoon session for today. You've done an amazing job. Thank you so much for your insights that you shared with us and your fantastic presentation. Thank you to our audience as well, obviously, for joining and adding their contributions. I hope you found the information useful for your future game development. And don't forget, every time you join a workshop, you get Juby points, and those Juby points will be calculated later next year once we launch Jubix, and those Juby points will be actually awarded a prize. So please make sure you stick on with our workshops. I think we have one more in the new year. So we just want to say, thank you so much for obviously joining our session today. And we have a fantastic investor showcase tomorrow. Yeah, I said it, investor showcase. So we are inviting all investors to come and bid their price against the Jubix product and teams. So it's not that you're just bidding against a product, but you're actually bidding against the team behind that product or service. So it's going to be really exciting tomorrow. So that's at 5 p.m. tomorrow. So please put a reminder in your calendars, and we look forward to having you with us tomorrow. So thank you. Let's round up for this afternoon. Thank you again, Mark and Luciano, and thank you to our audience. Everybody, take care. Thank you. Say bye to the
Yeah.
audience, guys.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
guys.
See
See you
you.
guys.
Right, right, right.